All right. So, welcome to Breakout EDU. We are going to take a look at digital breakouts, which can be used with your students in a brick and mortar environment, and it can also be used in virtual if you're part of the virtual program. We're going to connect Breakout EDU to 21st century learning skills. So, really looking at how we can use this tool to communicate and collaborate and foster creativity and critical thinking with our students. And an important piece to understanding how to use Breakout EDU with your students is to really get to experience it on your own as a student. So, we're going to do a team building breakout, and we're going to have 10 minutes to work together and try to solve this breakout and win essentially. And then our goals by the end of today's PD, I want to make sure you've activated your premium breakout account because you have premium access this year to use all of the breakouts unlimited times. And then I want to give you a little bit of time to kind of browse whether it's a team building, social, emotional, or even standards based breakout and pick something that you want to use to get started with your students as early as tomorrow. If you are unfamiliar with Breakout, it is okay because I'm going to introduce it all to you today. So, Digital Breakout EDU is like an escape room, but in a virtual environment. So, your students will have a series of locks and they're going to have to use their critical thinking and their teamwork to escape out and unlock all of the locks. So, it's really fun way for students to demonstrate knowledge of standards. You can use it as a formative or summative assessment. And after students are familiar with solving breakouts, they can even create their own breakouts with the premium access to Breakout EDU. So one of the reasons that we use breakouts in Riverside Unified is because it really allows us to use technology in an intentional way. So with Breakout, you can be higher up on the SAMR model. So you can be in those transformational levels where you're really redesigning the task for your students. Because if you're using it, let's say the example of test prep and practicing maybe the science standards because Breakout is in the elementary scope and sequence. Your students, instead of using flashcards to study, they're solving these locks using content knowledge. Another reason that I love Breakout EDU is it really allows your students to practice the social emotional learning. So you could put this breakout activity possibly say on a Friday afternoon, and it could be a team building activity, and your students are really focusing on self management because they have to work as a team and communicate, and they might get frustrated. And it's really good to give them some time to engage in this productive struggle and to learn how to resolve those issues as a team. Now, we're going to kind of jump right into it because we've got a lot going on today. So, something I want to make sure you're aware of, everything that you see could possibly be a clue. So, keep that in mind when you're in your breakout rooms trying to break out of the puzzles that we give you. Don't discount anything, even the most obvious thing. Consider that and really think outside the box. And this is a slide I like to share with students when I'm introducing it as well. Make sure they know that everything could possibly be a clue. So we're going to watch a short little video to walk you through. This is a great tutorial to use with your students to give them an overview of the different types of locks and puzzles that they have. So you'll have access to this in the slide so you can absolutely show it to your students. Here we go.
Welcome to Breakout EDU Digital. If you've never played a game
Uh-oh. Try it again. Sorry, guys. Try it one more time, and if not, we can skip through it and you can view it on your own. That is not a problem. Here we go.
Welcome to Breakout EDU Digital. If you've never played a game
All right. Well, normally when this works really well, you can show it to your students. So it talks about the different types of puzzles that you would have. So all those different locks, there's going to be a shape lock, there's going to be a color lock, there's a number lock, and then there's a directional lock, so using cardinal directions. So we're going to jump right into the student experience, and this should be interesting since you didn't get our little intro video, but some of you maybe saw it the other day at leadership. I think I see some familiar names and faces, so you can be the leaders in your breakout rooms because you're going to need to work together to solve this breakout. Some tips for success that I'm going to share with you, and when you do this with your students in the near future, share with your students. They need to work together. That is the key. If you all just look on your own device and don't talk to each other and communicate, you probably won't be as efficient as other teams that are bouncing ideas off each other. And then again, think creatively. Something that seems really random and like maybe that couldn't be it, just try it. You never know, and think critically too. So this is team building. There is no content knowledge that you necessarily need, which is a great way to start with your students because the rigor is going to be lower so that you can learn the platform and learn how to navigate the different types of locks. Now, when you are in the teacher role, when you do this, you've got to remember to keep your mouth closed. You are the facilitator, you're the guide on the side. So when you do a breakout with your students, we recommend that you go through it yourself first so you can see potential roadblocks and barriers your students may encounter. And then you can ask them questions strategically without leading them to the answer. So if you feel that your students have hit that frustration point and as a team they're not able to figure it out and they're stuck, you can definitely ask them questions, but be really, really careful with when you decide to offer them help and make sure you don't give them too much help. So I'm going to put you in breakout rooms and you're going to collaborate and communicate. You're going to remember everything's a rule. A clue. And you can click on the picture to see it larger. So 10 minutes when you're done, if you solve it before the 10 minutes, you can come back to the main room or you can stay in the room and I like to have like a fast finishers prompt. So when you come back, you can answer this in the chat. What did playing the game tell you about yourself and your teammates? A little reflection. Okay, so Dr. Kong, thank you, is going to put the link in the chat. Before I send you to the breakout room, you want to open up that link. Because you're all adults, you can decide how you want to do it. If you want to all click on the same lock together and talk through, have someone share their screen, you decide what works best for your group. But let me set up those breakout rooms. Grab that link before you go. Don't start solving it yet. You want to do it together. I'm going to make sure I pull everybody out that needs to be. Looks like we're going to do 3, excuse me, 3 in a breakout room. I just need to move somebody. There we go. Okay, your rooms are open. 10 minutes. Grab that link. Come back if you have questions, and good luck. Hello, hello. Did we have success in this group? A little. Good. Just in time with a minute 22 to spare. Well done. All right, I'm going to close the rooms and send everybody back. Welcome back, everybody. I think we're just waiting for a few more breakout rooms. Should be closed in 8 seconds. Look like breakout 1 did an awesome job. All right. Let's see, we almost have everyone. Breakout 3, they're still in there. All right, so as they're getting ready to come back, that's funny. Well, I will let you know what level it is in a little bit, but it is challenging. So you're not alone. I agree. Um, I do want you to take a minute to reflect on the question we would ask our students, our fast finishers, and you can put it in the chat. What did playing this game tell you about yourself and your teammates? So, what did you notice or observe? Teamwork's always an interesting experience. So, go ahead, you can put that in the chat whenever you're done typing your answer. What's your reflection? How do you feel about that experience as a team collaborating, knowing that time was ticking down? I like that. Thank you. We notice different things from the same image, right? Because we're all looking at it differently through a different lens, and your students will do the same. Yes, and absolutely, teamwork is definitely necessary to solve the problems, especially problems that require you to think outside of the box. It seems like a fun game, but really, you still are thinking very critically and problem solving. Yes, and Dr. Kong is agreeing with Ruth. There's great opportunities for the collaboration and the communication that those elements of 21st century learning that are so important. This is the perfect tool to give your students opportunities to practice those things no matter what their learning environment is. All right. And communication, yes, help us see different clues and see something you didn't notice. That's why the talking piece is so important because what's obvious to one is not necessarily obvious to another. All right. So you don't need to put this in the chat because we did the reflection chat instead, but something that I like to ask the students in reflection is like, what did you feel or um, what was it like when you were experiencing the breakout? And let them talk about that because it doesn't feel like work to them. They still feel like they're playing a game. So it's a great conversation for you to have with your students. And I really want to emphasize to you, and I want you to carry this message to your students, that the learning in breakout, it's about the journey more than solving the locks and breaking out of the breakout experience. Okay, and you want to iterate that to them so that they don't feel like they failed if they didn't solve all of the locks, because there's something that they're learning all across the way. And if you didn't solve all the locks, but you're wondering about the answers, I'll put this link in the chat for you. Here are all the answers. So every breakout does have a story that goes along with it, like a very brief kind of setting the stage. And then it has the lock combinations, so you can just get straight answers. But I think the most important part, especially the locks that you're going to get stumped on, is the explanation. So if you're wondering, well, why was that number a lock? Those certain numbers, it explains it for you. So I really like that. So what my best practice is I pick a breakout for my students. I try to go through it and solve it on my own. Maybe I pull my kids, I have teenagers, and ask them to help, and we do it together. And then when we get stuck at a certain point, I come look at the answers and be like, oh, that's what it was. And what grade level do you think this was approximately? You could put it in the chat or unmute your mic and say, but what do you think this was aimed towards? What's the audience? Oh, Robert, I like that. Good way, an opportunity to get to know your peers in a different way. Absolutely. Okay, 4, 6, right. Hmm. Robert's like connecting it to those standards. Absolutely. So it's interesting because this one is not because it's not standards based. It was a content area team building. When it's standards based specifically, it will say what the standard is right here. It is just elementary towards like third, fourth, fifth. That is what it is. So something to keep in mind with Breakout when you're first introducing it to your students, if you teach second grade, pull a pull a kinder one. It will not be too easy for your students, I promise you, because this is a different type of thinking. So if you're fifth, sixth grade, pull second, third grade. This would be perfect for them to start with and model it for your students. Model it, do the first one together. I visited a teacher last year and she was in sixth grade and she did the breakout and she asked questions and modeled like how we collaborate. And I thought that was really, really genius to walk them through that whole process and let the whole class be successful. And then the next week they did one in small groups on their own. Now, to get started, there's lots of different ways, you know, that I think modeling at first is really important. You can play it in small groups, or you can even start to assign it. So, enrichment, you can put it in your Google Classroom. You can grab the link, just like I shared the link with you, and you can put it as a may do in the classroom, and the students can work on it at their own pace, give them a little voice and choice in their learning. Breakout does have reflection pieces. They're called the 4C cards, and there's a digital version where students can then maybe do a writing prompt in their journal or a Google Doc, or they can make a flip grid. Like, I love this one. What might you do differently next time? They can just turn and talk to their partner as a reflection. You can have it as a fast finishers question as well. You can see that's where I pulled the question from. So that all comes in the breakout. Now let's set up our account. Breakout is accessible in your Clever, or you can go to breakoutedu.com and we're going to use our Google single sign-on. If you've never signed in, let me grab the link real quick. This will actually have all of the directions that we're going to go over. Some of you maybe have already accessed your premium account, so this part won't apply to you, but you can start kind of browsing and looking for your next breakout that you want to use. So you can log in through Clever or click the link right here. You're going to use your Google single sign-on. That's really, really important for you to do. It'll ask you, you know, name and all that stuff, but you guys notice like down below, there'll be a Google single sign-on. Click that, use your Riverside Unified because that is important to connecting you to the school code and making that connection for the premium access. So I'll give you just a couple minutes to do that. I don't want to rush you. If you're stuck, let me know and I can help you. And if you're having any issues at all, just feel free to unmute your mic or put it in the chat and I will help try to problem solve this part. And then we'll go into kind of using the platform and all those things. It's a really good question. So there's two different types of breakouts. The question in the chat, I know you're still working, but was what is a kit breakout? So there's two versions. There's a digital, which is what this PD is really going to focus on, and then there's a kit. So we used to have these wood boxes that had physical locks, and then you would print all these pictures. And I found them very labor intensive, honestly. You'd have to set it up in your classroom and then the students would actually try to open the tangible locks in groups. And so right now, just because of the health guidelines, we're not checking out physical kits. We're just doing the digital breakout, but that's what it is. So if it ever says kit required, that's probably not the best one to pick right now because you won't have access to the kits. You're welcome. All right, and I set a timer just to make sure I give you enough time. Virtual wait time is really hard to gauge. There's still a minute and a half, those of you that are logging in and setting up your premium account. All right. And if you have any issues or if you share, you can share this, any of this information with your peers or teammates or anyone on your campus. If they ever have any issues, have them, if it's an account issue, they can email me or put in a work order, depending on what type of issue or questions. We can go either route to get them some help. Okay, so now the best thing to do is search by digital because you want to filter out all of the ones that require a kit because right now we're not using the kits. So when you're logged into Breakout, you can see right here, this is my Breakout EDU platform. They usually have some featured games across the top, like yesterday, I think it was yesterday, was the National International Dot Day. Might be gone already. There it is. So that's one of my favorite books. You can see that there were breakouts specifically for that day. So they always do the filter, the ones across the top that are things that are upcoming. Like we have Constitution Day up here. There's some featured breakouts. Or you can just type in a keyword or a subject or standard if you know, like, hey, on Friday, I'm teaching blank and I want to have this activity. Just be sure to click the digital. You can also filter a different way. So maybe you're looking for a breakout. We want to start with team building because I think, the best way to start. You can click on team building and then I'm going to go digital, team building, and digital one more time because I don't want any of those kit ones. And right here, you can start to look right here. And so it'll tell you middle school, upper grade. You can filter even further if you want to. So this is the one we did, really good one to use to start because most of the kids can be successful and you already know the answers. Um, so that is one way that you can start looking for your breakouts. You can also filter down even further by clicking the little filter icon, and then you can specifically go by a grade or it's check boxes, check all that apply. You can do a grade and a content area. So it weeds out all of the things that wouldn't be appropriate. So if we're starting and I teach third grade, but I want to start with a low rigor, I can I'm gonna go back to home. I'm gonna do digital, the filter, and that's where the drop down menu comes. And see if I'm teaching third grade, let's say I want to just do like a kinder and a first. And I want to do team building, all those. If a holiday's coming up, breakouts really, excuse me, does a good job of having some seasonal and holiday ones coming up. We'll just go by that and then click go. That's a really quick way to look through, and then you can scroll, and if something catches your eye, like, hey, Halloween's right around the corner, you can click on it, and then you can see the story. You can read the locks, but the best thing to do is click play game and kind of go through it on your own and decide, is this something that my students could be successful at, or we could do as a class, and you can pick any lock. This is something I tell the kids, some are chronological, they have to start with the first lock, and it'll let you know, but this one you could pick any. So you could do the directional, and then you could go to the color. But I share that with the students because sometimes they'll get stuck on the first lock, and then they've hit their frustration point and they don't do anything else. You hit your frustration point and teach them. Go to something else. Come back to it with fresh eyes. So those are just some things I wanted to share with you. All right. Now, Google Classroom. Breakout EDU does have a Google Classroom connection, but it is in beta. And I just want to give you a fair warning, it's not the best yet. I think it will get there. But if you want to sync your Breakout EDU to Google Classroom, you can do that from your account. You'll see there's a My Classes tab, and then you can, allow access to Google, synchronize your classrooms. But the reason I don't think it's like amazing yet is because your students still have to log into Breakout and put in a code to join your breakout classroom. So we're used to things kind of syncing and being very interconnected with Google. They're not quite there yet. So I like to just pull the link like we did and put that link in Google Classroom myself because students don't have to log in. The only thing is you can't collect data. So if you are wanting to use breakouts for an alternative assessment, you do need to connect them. But if you're just getting started, putting the link in Classroom yourself is okay. But if you decide to connect your students and synchronize your Google Classrooms, you can then assign a breakout to your students. And then you would pick which Google Classroom when you sync them. These are my Google Classrooms, and you click assign. And then this is the part that students need to do. So your students in Clever, or you could put the link in Classroom if you want, need to select log in with Google. Log in with Google. You can show them these slides if you want to walk them through it. And then this is where they get a class code. So I can show you in my breakout. Here's my account. Here's my classes. I already synced my Google Classes. See how there's a code? When you sync your Google Classroom, that is the code that it's asking for. So if I'm teaching first period, this is the code I would give first period to connect Breakout Classroom to Google Classroom. But remember, this is not a must. If you want them to play, you can just share the link. You just won't get data. And when I'm talking about data, let me see. Right here, my little Miranda, I always make her be one of my guinea pigs. She's my middle child. And I don't know if she's done any for me yet here, but it will tell you how much time they've spent in a breakout. It will tell you how many questions they got right or wrong. And I apologize that I don't have any good data to show you on anybody, but that is something you could do as you use Breakout more with your students. So referring back to the slides, you can see here's the code. If you forget later, it's okay. And then the students do need to click confirm. When they put the code in, it'll say you're about to join blank classroom. They click confirm. And then when you assign them a breakout, they'll be able to play it right there. So that is the connection for you. So we're doing really good on time. Do I need to you do not need to update or change your password if you did it with Google single sign-on for your RUSD account. You should be good to go. Just to get the premium access, make sure you pull the class code and put it in your account because that unlocks all the breakouts. So you have access to everything, including the classroom because it's in beta. Not everybody has access to the classroom. So during this time, I just wanted to allow you some time in the PD to explore. This PD is a paid PD, so after we do the exploration time, we'll go over time cards and things. So get paid for a little bit of prep and planning, which is nice. And then we'll go over feedback and things. But I'm here to help you if you are stuck or want suggestions or have ideas during this time, but you're really just browsing around, maybe syncing your classrooms and then trying to, you can bookmark as many activities as you want. And so by bookmark, it just means literally the little bookmark right there. Because sometimes, like during this time, you might just get a bunch. Of course, we wouldn't pick that because the kit's required. But yes, you can get a bunch and you can bookmark them and remember, like maybe you find one and you don't teach that unit for a couple months. When you bookmark them, then under my accounts, you'll have your bookmarked games right here. So it'll store them for you. So now it's a really good time even to crowdsource a bunch that you might consider doing when the holidays are coming or in units. So anyways, there's 9 minutes. Go ahead and browse. And if you are stuck or have questions, you can unmute your mic or put it in the chat, whatever you're comfortable with, and I will absolutely help you.
Crystal,
Yes.
I did it. I used it last year, so I asked the question whether I needed to update it or change the password, because when I opened it and I wanted to put the code that I need, Longfellow, mine has some other school. So when I sync my class, it synced my whole Google Classroom, my 4 classes that I have.
Oh, yeah, it will do that automatically. I think you can go in and archive the classrooms you're not using because, like, it pulled over all my classrooms as
Okay.
well.
Can I
Yeah.
show you my thing? Let me see. Let me
Yeah.
see if I can share. Hold on.
Go for it.
So which one is the one where I can share the more options?
It's a rectangle with an arrow inside, and when you hover over it, says present now.
Okay, that's one. Present the tab. Do you see it?
Not yet. So there's
Hold
probably
on.
a pop-up box. One more step. I think you're close.
Oh, see, look at, because what did I do?
So you'll click the
See-
present now, and then you can choose your entire screen. That's the
Oh,
easiest, or a window or a tab. And then it'll have
I
one
see.
more pop-up.
Oh, I forgot one step. I haven't done it in a while.
It is okay. There you
Can I,
go.
do you see it? It says you're
I do.
connected with Washington Elementary School. So how can I change this to Longfellow Elementary School?
Yeah, it's actually okay. So the district, when we purchased the licenses, they wanted to do it by school, even though it started last year and they knew teachers would move. That
Oh,
won't affect anything, so you're fine.
okay, look it. But now when I see my class, look at it. It gives me my 6 classes that I have in my Google Classroom.
Do you want to archive some of them? So
This is
possibly that's
right
the
here.
one you're using.
This is the one, yeah, that I'm using this year.
So the third grade DLI above it, you can click over to the right. Yep, archive class. So you don't delete it necessarily. You can. There you go.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
you can archive. It's up to you. Either or, and that'll remove those so you don't have to look at those.
okay, here, let me see. Archive it, yes.
There you go.
I deleted the other one by
That's
accident.
okay. What happens is, so next year when you have breakout again, you can archive it. Your students can go back and look at all their breakouts that they did with you without losing access to it. You didn't, really use it a lot last year, so you're
So,
probably fine.
see, this one is my work right here, and this one's my DLI, and this one is the ILE. So,
Oh,
what I
PD
do-
from last year. You can, archive that because we've got a new one. Very good.
but it's not gonna remove them from my Google, right?
No. It doesn't have that much power.
This one is from my principal. Do I still?
Okay, yeah. You could archive it. I don't think you'll need that in your breakout. Here you go. Now it looks nice
Okay,
and
so
neat.
this is just in the breakout room, right? Okay.
Just in the breakout.
So what do
Exactly.
I do now? This is the code I'm gonna give my students, or each one has their own code?
That's the code for all your students. And
Oh,
then, so they'll log into Clever, they'll click the breakout, and then they'll put in that code and click confirm. And then anything you assign to your students,
uh-huh.
they will then see after they put the code in.
Okay, so I'm set then. I can go ahead and
Yep.
start tomorrow.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay then.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, thank you.
You're
I'm,
welcome.
I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay.
Yep, that sounds good.
I have a question. I'm trying to sync my Google Classroom to Breakout, and it says 505 error, no, 500 error. I don't know if I'm not doing something right. Should I share my screen?
Yeah, if you're okay with that, that's the easiest way. I love that. I do know that you bring up a good point. This is probably not your error, but if you're a co-teacher, so if some of you are departmentalizing or sharing, the co-teachers won't have access. They can't sync. Is the only thing I didn't say. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm not co-teaching.
Perfect.
So
Good.
do I click here, Google Classroom?
I don't, that's a new icon. I know that if you go to the classes on the left and click the little caret, yep. And then why does it not give you the synchronized class? It should say synchronized classroom. Try the other one. It's probably not going to hurt it. The one first
This
one you
one?
asked about, yeah. There we go, synchronize. So it should bring over all your classrooms.
Do you see this right here or no?
No, did it open up a new tab? I still see, oh, there. Okay, now, there you go. Now pick your RUSD account and it'll ask you, do you allow access?
Do I check these as yes?
I would, just because it'll store like the classroom information.
Okay, I wasn't doing that earlier. Maybe that's why.
Might help. And then continue. Yeah, it looks like it might work.
Okay, so I wasn't checking those boxes earlier and it wasn't working. So maybe we have to. Okay, thank you.
Hope so. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. You are welcome. And something I wanted to share, it's not in the PD, but if you're thinking you don't want to sync your classrooms, have your kids join and assign, you just want to put the link in the Google Classroom or chat if you're teaching virtually. The way that you could do that, let me share this tab, is when you find a game. So let's go starter games. We'll just pick a game. All right, when you find the game that's digital right here, so this one, say I do all my best practices, I go through it, it's perfect for my students. When I click play game, this URL right up top, which you can't see, I'm highlighting, you can copy it, and then I'll share this tab. You can go to your Google Classroom and you can just use that link right there. You just won't have data on your students, but sometimes that's okay. So then you can find your classroom, classwork, and we can make it an assignment. So, and you would just paste that link right there. And then your students don't need to log in. They can just go directly to that breakout and have that experience. So I don't want you to feel like you have to sync classroom and do all of those extra steps, because if you're teaching like second graders, you might just want to get them to the experience, and that's okay. Alrighty. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our wrap up, because it has been a long day. It's almost our Friday. We're almost there. So you can confirm your attendance. We confirm it in CickUp. If you've never used CickUp for PD before, it is what we're using across the district to manage all professional learning. So I will grab that link and put it in the chat for you. CickUp is also on our district website, and it's in your Clever portal. So there's lots of different ways you can get to CickUp. Well, you all signed up in CickUp, so you must have been there at least once. But that is the code for today's attendance. And if you could give feedback on the professional learning, there is time built into this PD for you to provide the feedback. I appreciate it. As a facilitator, it helps me get better each time that we do PD. And then after you confirm your attendance and start the feedback form for us, we have a time card that I'll put in the chat for you as well. But I just want to thank you for your time. I want to let you know that we're here for you. Our team is here. We have office hours. We love to come to classrooms. And if you are excited but not sure about how to get started, my team would love to come in and do a modeled lesson for you. You can just email me at chart@Riverside Unified. Invite us in, and we will do a quick little 45-minute lesson just to get you started. If you're nervous, it's okay. That is what we're here for. So let me also give you that time card. Uh-oh. Looks like somebody turned our time card off. So when you confirm your attendance, that'll let me know to send you the time card. I apologize. I don't know why it's turned off. But I'll make sure after you confirm your attendance that I email you the time card and you can fill it out for an hour or whatever it is past your contract time. Our admin assistant's out today, so I can't ask him what's going on, but I will make sure we get you that time card, I promise. So after you're done with feedback, you are free to go, but I am here if you have questions, okay?
Okay, and sorry, my question was, so we